Hello everyone and welcome to the presentation. Today we'll be discussing Taters Incorporated Network Infrastructure Upgrade. They've decided to take the leap and upgrade to a new operating system. So I've come up with a solution for them, and this will be a two-part presentation. It'll be a short PowerPoint giving a brief overview of what's been done and what's been proposed, and then it'll move into a demonstration of the operating system and some of the programs that are on it. All right, that said, let's get started. Some of the things to consider about this project and this upgrade are that Taters Incorporated has 276 machines in 8 different departments of varying sizes. One of the big questions that I have is how long has Taters Incorporated been using its current operating system? And the information given to me, it doesn't specify what they're using, how long they've been using it, which version, which begs some other questions. Would an upgrade to Microsoft 10 cause any issues with potentially outdated and no longer supported applications? And if these potentialities become realities, they could be a major hindrance to the new operating system deployment. If they don't work very well and they're not very usable, then they're not really going to serve Taters very well in the future. There are a few other concerns, one being cost. 276 physical machines is a lot of machines to install new software on. It's a time-consuming and expensive endeavor. The company may also be required to purchase new or additional hardware and software for full compatibility and functionality with Windows 10. Some of these outdated or no longer supported applications, should they arise and cause issues, if they're unviable and unusable, then they're not going to serve any purpose for Tater. So why upgrade to a system where you can't use those things? That said, there are alternatives. One of them that is very cost effective and I think would be a great solution is Linux Mint 18.3 Cinnamon. Why? It's open source, it's free, and it's relatively easy to install. It has a plethora of applications. They're all open sourced and free as well. Obviously, you can pay for things, I'm sure, but many of these are open sourced. And 18.3 Cinnamon is the most up-to-date Linux distribution. How should this happen? I think all these machines can be deployed as virtual machines. That way, Taters can use their existing hardware resources to accomplish this. That would definitely contribute to the cost effectiveness of this upgrade. So for this example, I've created what I call a Linux Mint box. And in the virtual machine settings, I've given it 2 gigabytes of RAM, I've given it a 40 gigabyte hard disk, 2 processor cores, and it runs in NAT mode. And for the demonstration, the applications that I'll show you, I've got Dropbox for uploading, sharing, and downloading files. Albert, which is a really cool one. It's a little toolbar that's initiated with a hotkey, so you have quick access to your computer's files and programs. Kexi is a referential database program, very comparable to Microsoft Office, which I think could be a very useful tool for Taters endeavors and keeping track of clients, vendors, costs, expenses, things like that. That way they can run reports and keep detailed information on what their company is doing. Skype for messaging, video, and voice calls. Things like interoffice messaging, video conferences, the like. And Gwake, I think, would be a good thing for the IT department or the IT staff. It's a quick drop-down terminal window, which gives you access to the Linux command line, which is where you can access pretty much everything about a Linux box. In terms of connecting to their servers, they'll need Linux Integration Services, which is a set of drivers that allow synthetic device support for Linux-based machines on Microsoft-based servers. And this allows these Linux machines to utilize the full benefits that Hyper-V affords. So in summary, upgrading the network infrastructure can be done in a very cost-effective manner. Virtualization is done through containment, which is a big mitigator to the upgrade costs. Linux Mint 18.3 looks really professional, performs well, and it's free. It's a huge draw. I also think that specific configurations can be made and cloned quickly to provide a virtual network infrastructure for all the departments that they have. And obviously, if they're being cloned, these things can be made in pretty short order, and they can be made as they are needed and configured as such too. Two other things to consider is that training will be needed for the employees to become familiarized with the new operating system and their specific department machines and setups and their purposes. The IT department also should be prepared to troubleshoot a whole range of issues immediately after deployment and for any length of time, really, until everyone gets comfortable and familiar with it and it runs very smoothly. All right, and here we are at the demonstration. I've already got the machine on, and we're here at the login screen. So if we go ahead and enter the password, we can get to the desktop, and we'll take a look. It took a minute, but here we go. All right, we're into the box, and here's the desktop. I think it looks very nice and professional. Pretty simple too, which is nice. If you go into the Start menu down here, similar to Microsoft, any Microsoft operating system, you can see all the applications that you have available, accessories. You can get into your system settings. You can get to the terminal. You can get to your file system here and all your directories, things like that. You can go to the software manager, which is a way that you can also install applications onto the system. There's a lot of things that are really easily configured and set up on here, and they're done through the software manager. So you can pick on any number of these things, search through them, and download those as needed or as you please. Let's see, and I'll begin with Albert here in terms of the specific applications that I've put on this machine. Albert is a really cool little tool. Once it's open and active, you can hit the home button as a hotkey and it brings up this menu where you can then search for anything on the computer, files, programs, things like that. So say I wanted to find Dropbox. I can type in Dropbox and I can access it that way. So you'll see that now the desktop icon or the taskbar icon for Dropbox is now open, and then we can get into our Dropbox folder and see all of our files we want to share, files that have been shared with us. Useful tool. So if we go back to Albert, hitting the home button, we can check out some of the other programs. I've also put Skype on here, which is a pretty familiar program to a lot of people. Good for video and voice calls, video conferencing, and even potentially inter-office or inter-department messaging among employees. So here we are, we're into Skype. Obviously, you'd want to come in here and you want to build your address book and your contact list. But you can make chats, calls, you can create groups, things like that from here. Again, pretty common application, but one that I think could serve Taters very well in terms of their communication amongst their employees. We'll go back to Albert, hitting the home button, and we'll check out some other things. The next one to check out here, we'll go ahead and look at Gwake, which I thought was a really interesting program. Pretty simple. It allows you to get into the terminal very quickly. It puts a little icon down here, you click it, the command line opens. So now you can come in here and you could check your files, all these other things. It's a really easy, quick menu to get to. And then if you want to get out of it, you just hit that button again and it disappears. I think the IT department might find some good use in that, in getting into the system quickly to check things out. We'll go back to the home button for the Albert menu, and then we'll take a look at Kexi, which is a pretty interesting looking database application, which is supposed to be very similar to Microsoft Office Access, their database program. So if you come in here, you can create databases, you can import databases, export databases. It has all kinds of tools. You can make queries, you can sort through databases information and compile reports. I think this would be a great tool for Taters, and in terms of keeping track of things like their clientele or their vendors, their accounts, their balances, invoices, all that stuff. And again, they can import data that they already have existing into this, or they can create new data in this program. And all right, I think that sums it up. Those are the applications that I chose to put on here, just to kind of get this project rolling and get people interested in it. And obviously, like I said before, I think all these virtual machines could be configured with different applications that serve purposes for each department specifically. Um, Another one I thought that was very interesting. It was already on here as part of the native OS. Is Cache, which is some accounting software, which I think would be a good way um, the database program Kexi, is to keep track of their transactions, their cash flow, their revenue, things like that. Yep. So you can come in here. You can add all sorts of things. Keep track of your money that way. Well, that concludes the presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope that Taters Incorporated will find this solution very suitable to their operating system upgrades.